When working with design clients, how do you keep them from going in a bad direction or a direction that you advise against? Stay tuned. Hi, I'm Jenny Family-Arcano. Welcome to my channel where I help creative professionals organize your ideas into work that flows. I'm very passionate about design, and I know that it's hard when we bring clients into our creative process. We need to reconcile what we believe is best for the client with their biases using these 3 tips. Number 1 is design for their goals. Whenever you're creating graphic design work, make sure that you stay focused on what their goals are. This could include who are they speaking to? Are some of their goals including making more sales, building trust with their audience? Building a good portfolio piece is not one of their goals. It could be one of their goals. They might say that, but ultimately they hire us because they trust us to execute so that they can build their business and connect with their audience. So don't be selfish when we're working on projects that they hired us for. Maintain their goals as the primary objective for the project. And this makes it so much easier to sell the directions. For example, this CrowdCompass ebook utilizes isometric illustrations to help promote the gaming features of the app. Tell me in the comments below, what was a recent goal that you've had on a project? Was it something that was more aligned to the business goals of your client, or was it more aligned to your personal goals? Number 2, you should only ship what you would want them to choose. This comes from when you deliver multiple directions. Don't promise too many directions if you're not sure whether or not you can deliver on them. One of my friends actually only delivers one direction with their projects. This actually helps them refine their work, so they're just focusing on a singular direction and then building it up from there. That was part of their agreement. And the reason why you want to limit these ideas, the amount of directions, is say that you've set yourself up to deliver 3 different directions. You have 2 very solid directions that you're really excited about, and then you have one kind of idea that you're not excited about, that is kind of okay, but is only there to fulfill the 3 direction minimum that you set yourself up. That's a 1 in 3 chance of them selecting the option that you're not very excited about. And that's a pretty big chance if you think about all the directions that you're presenting someone. Put your best foot forward and only provide the directions that you want your client to be selecting. By curating the number of options you give them, you're telling them that you're invested and you're dedicated to these 2 options and you believe that these are your best recommendations for them. You should also provide options that your client might not be thinking of. One of the options that come to mind is this project that we worked on for Blizzard. It was a countdown sequence. It was a bunch of images that were designed for Twitter to count down. The original text was too big for the image. It was cut off behind the character based on the style, and so much of it was obstructed that you couldn't see the word anymore. Looking at this, I realized it wasn't going to be a good decision moving forward. So I had to create different options of words and different mock-ups to ensure that whatever we're providing is our best recommendation. And we ultimately changed the copy to read one day instead of tomorrow. That ended up changing the content of that piece, but it made it so much better because now you can see both words very clearly. It's not obstructed from view, and it ended up being a better process. It ended up being a better project in the long run because of those options. Sometimes we actually need to see what it looks like in order for us to understand why something doesn't work. After you've designed for their goals, after you're shipping your best recommendation, and they're still not doing the direction that you've suggested for them, all you can do next is trust them. We need to accept their decision sometimes. Sometimes we go through the dance of providing everything that we think is right and doing everything we can to convince them why we think a direction is the best choice for them. But if they make the choice, in the end, it's up to them. The reason for that is they know their audience the most. They're going to be more intimate with this work than we are. After we're finished with this project, we're probably going to move on to a new project and a new client. They're going to stay with our work for a while. If it's their branding, it's going to be a big contribution to how they do their business. They're the ones who are making the decision. Ultimately, it's up to them what direction they want to take. You have to trust them because they know their audience, and they're going to be working with our work. So be open to their suggestions. And there are some things that we can control that some people might not notice or be aware of, but that we can really focus on in order for it to be a success in our eyes. By trusting them, this could ultimately lead to some unexpected solutions that we might not have foreseen or could have planned for at the very beginning if everything had gone the designer's way. In this work for Iris Telehealth, these illustrations have come a long way. There was a lot of back and forth between both parties, but we were able to really take this illustration on a journey. It's evolved, but it was able to pave the way for the other illustrations that we created for their brand and what they ultimately started using throughout their whole website. Ultimately, you want to trust your client. They are going to be making decisions based on what they believe is best for their business. If they choose a direction that you're not recommending, you can learn from this process. You can take this experience that you have with this project and learn from it and bring it with you to the next one. There will always be another project. There will always be a situation very similar to this. Understand why they chose a certain direction. Document everything that happens. Whether or not they choose a direction in your work ultimately contributes to your understanding of the project and makes for a better case study, knowing that you've taken some turns around a project. You should take this opportunity to learn what you can do better for your next project. In the end, clients ultimately approach us to help them with their business, and we need to do our best to help them as well by designing towards their goals, shipping what we think is right, and trusting them when they ultimately make their decision. Thanks for staying for the whole video. Stay tuned for all of February where we talk more about communication with clients as a graphic designer. I will see you in the next video.